Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/AskReddit. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. What a creepy fact, you know. After raping his blindfolded victims, the Golden State Killer would be extremely quiet and pretend he had left the room. When the poor victims would start to move towards the phone or try to untie themselves, he would scare the fucking shit out of them. I lived in the same neighborhood as him, actually. 3 minutes away. Some of my friends went to sleepovers in his house after he had retired from his profession. One of the tragedies of Pearl Harbor, the attack that sent America headfirst into Japan during World War II, was of a group of men who didn't die immediately. 3 men were trapped several feet underwater in a sunken ship. They were aged 18, 20, and 21. They were locked into a small room with no hope for escape. If they could somehow cut their way out into the water, they are still going to drown before they would break free and swim to shore. What's sad is it took people on land 2 days to realize there were people stuck in the ship. However, they knew they were unable to help them. No one came to rescue them. Their only choice was to sit there and wait they did. When time came around to lifting the ship out of the water to search for bodies, they found the 3 young men and a calendar. Yep, the men kept a track of how many days they survived, not knowing if help, death, or a world at war was around the corner. Imagine having to cope with your death, knowing it's the end, feeling the worst emotions possible for an hour. Now picture a day. How about a week? Well, these men did it for 16 days of starvation and darkness, trapped in the steel belly of a dead whale. The military tried to keep it a secret from their family members, only for some to find out how their brothers and sons really died. If you let a goat eat more than 2 cigarettes a day, it will turn their milk brown. How do you know this? In about 50 years, the dead will outnumber the living on Facebook. Maybe earlier if we all just delete Facebook. When a person dies due to some form of strangulation or hanging, if the body is moved, any remaining air will leave the body, making it look like they are breathing for a moment before the air is gone. But why does the air leave? Isn't that caused by the diaphragm? Forgot how to spell the name, moving. I've seen enough, I'm giving this a wholesome award. A Reddit classic. It is dark inside your body and your bones are wet. Woof, that one hit weird. A dead pig and a dead person smell so similar that cadaver detecting dogs can't tell the difference. Complete shot in the dark here, but could it be because we are both omnivorous? Toddler, a man in the 1700s, was plagued with a constant appetite. He would eat live animals and food from the gutter to survive, but the worst part was when he sought a cure for his condition in hospital, he would attempt to drink the blood of patients and eat the corpses in the morgue. It is also highly likely that he ate a toddler. A fucking toddler. Toddler, look at me. Did you eat a fucking baby? Peppa Pig has fucking retractable teeth. She also only listens to grown-up music. A rat king is a phenomenon created when a large group of rats become fused together by their tails via ice, dirt, hair, blood, or even feces. There is only one rat king, and his name is Charlie Kelly. There is a fungus, cordyceps, that can actually brain control insects, forcing them to move to a higher location where they will eventually die and release more cordyceps spores. Bonus creepy, there are over 7,000 of such species, each specializing in a different insect. Also, there's a similar case with a deer gut parasite that, if ingested by a moose, starts eating away at its brain, making it look like a zombie, before often dying from exhaustion. I know everyone knows this, but that is what the infection in The Last of Us is based on, and that's just neat. 1/3 of every Swedish citizen will die in their house, and only get discovered by neighbors calling about the smell. Since many of us live alone in apartments, there is no one to see if you're alive or not. It's the most depressing thing I know. What happens to the other 2/3 of that citizen? You don't actually swallow spiders when you sleep, they are way too intelligent for that. I oddly feel relieved reading that, lol. Yeah, spiders. George is an outlier and should not have been counted. There are an estimated 50 to 100 active serial killers in the US at any given time. They should put them all on an island somewhere for a reality show. Survivor 2020. If you shit yourself and post it online, someone, somewhere will become attracted to you. Hear me out. That means for the price of shitting myself one person will be attracted to me, so that's way better than the current rate. r/life pro tip. You can't hide forever. Whistling in the olden times was actually a way to call demons. I'm serious, Google it. I used to whistle quite a bit. I worked in a retirement center, and one of my favorite residents told me that whistling women and cackling hens tend to meet a horrible end. I don't whistle so much anymore. A young lady of Asian descent told me that nice ladies don't whistle in public. Don't tell me. Tell her. We're either alone in the universe, or we're not. To add to this, the universe either goes on forever, or it doesn't. At least some of the crew of the Challenger, if not all of them, survived the explosion. They would have been aware of the fact that they would die upon impact with the ocean surface. There was no possible way to escape. That haunts me. If it's any consolation, I read somewhere that the drop in air pressure would have rendered them unconscious. If you pretend to shake an invisible salt shaker onto your tongue, you will actually taste salt. Did you know that the word gullible isn't actually in the dictionary? Now I feel stupid. Natalie Wood's mother was told by a gypsy to beware dark water. She passed that fear of water on the Natalie, who feared for the rest of her life that she would drown. Natalie Wood indeed drowned just after Thanksgiving in 1981 after going missing from the yacht she was on around midnight. You mean possibly murdered by Robert Wagner? If you live in fear of dark water, maybe don't go out drinking on a yacht. A human head remains conscious for around 20 seconds after being decapitated. Prove it. That a 6-year-old girl gave birth. Sad story. Apparently her hormones sped up quick, and she was most likely raped by her father. She was actually 5 years old. She is 87 today. 18 people have been to the moon, 3 have been to the deepest trench in the ocean. One of those 3 was James Cameron. I really enjoy this side of James Cameron. He's very driven and adventurous. Of course, being rich to death helps, but when I see his documentaries about the Titanic, he's very passionate and quite knowledgeable. I heard a guy on TV say James Cameron was an undersea explorer who made movies on the side. Some of the Nazi death camps have shards and dust of bone instead of dirt. You have to dig down to find dirt. Dirt. The unsolved murder rate has actually been increasing since the 60s, and we're not entirely sure why. How else will they keep making unsolved mysteries? I think the pressure to close cases caused a lot of false imprisonment in the past. Nowadays with DNA it is a lot easier to prove a person innocent, leaving many cases unsolved. Your body begins breaking down almost immediately after death, right? This is thanks to the billions of bacteria inside you, mostly in your gut. That breakdown eventually turns the fatty tissues into waxy soap in a process known as saponification. Its technical name is adipocere. It is also known as grave wax and corpse wax. Good Lord, do not Google adipocere. Donald Barr, Bill Barr's father, wrote a novel about a space federation that had oligarchs who sexually abused children. He also gave Epstein a job at a school. Yup, that Epstein. I have this book. My brother found it at our favorite used bookstore. Polar bears are often regarded as one of the only, if not the only, animals that actively hunt humans. No, that doesn't just mean if you get close to one, watch your back. That means even if you get away from them, they will try to smell your tracks and hunt you. This can reportedly go on for miles. Oh, and it doesn't help that they're the largest bears in the world at 11 feet tall on their hind legs, and weigh about 1,700 pounds on average, not to mention they can run fast and rip you to shreds. That's why it's illegal to travel outside of towns unarmed in Svalbard, Norway. When you chop off a chicken's head, they can still cluck one last time from their neck. This happened to me and I've served my time. What do you think the hardest part is for you? Being a chicken or having no head? In 1973, 2 men were in a small submarine 1,575 feet deep in the ocean. Suddenly, there was a malfunction and water began flooding in, causing the sub to sink. They only had enough oxygen left to survive for 3 days. It took so long for the rescue team to find them that by the time they extracted the crew, the men only had about 12 minutes of oxygen left. They survived though? Not that bad. Chainsaws were originally invented for childbirth. Pre-cesarean section times, they just remove part of the pelvis with a knife. Yeah, but when invented they weren't gasoline-powered and 2 feet of carbide steel whirling doom. They were basically sharp-edged chains powered by a hand crank. The point was to efficiently saw the pelvis as quickly as possible to prevent blood loss and shock from killing the mother and the child. The alternative was hacksaw, and that left jagged edges that, even if the mother didn't die of blood loss and shock, wouldn't heal correctly. It's not like they just yanked a ripcord and slashed her apart like Leatherface here, folks. If you think this is terrible, you better not see a real surgery with clamps, vices, breaking of ribs, a buzzsaws. Anything about prionopathies. They are a category of incurable, fatal illnesses caused by a rogue protein called the prion, which destroys the brain. Mad cow is an example of an animal prion disease, and in humans there is a wide range of them. And supposedly the main cause of prion diseases is cannibalism. For those not aware, mad cow disease was caused by grinding up the bones of butchered cattle and adding it to the feed of cows, and the prions are passed on to humans by eating the tainted beef. It is also practically impossible to diagnose until a post-mortem is carried out on your corpse because it usually requires a sample of brain tissue. A family friend found out that her mom had it after she died, just randomly. Oh, and by the way, she had mad cow. Russian scientists, maybe others too, were able to bring a dead dog's head and organs back to life. The head was responsive to noise and movements. A Russian surgeon, whose work was super important for organ transplants, severed a dog's head and surgically attached it to another dog to make a 2-headed dog that lived for like a week after. Also, they did an entire head transplant of a monkey head onto another monkey body, and same deal, it lived for several days after. Crazy shit, but I guess it's important even if it seems like some mad scientist stuff. It takes 3 rotations to remove a human head. Why do you know this? You've walked by several serial killers who have chosen to spare you. Pedro Lopez. From Wikipedia. A Colombian serial killer, who was sentenced for killing 110 girls, but who claimed to have raped and killed more than 300 girls across Colombia, Peru and Ecuador. He was declared insane and held in the psychiatric wing of a Bogotá hospital. In 1998, he was declared sane and released on $50 bail, subject to certain conditions. He later absconded. He was wanted for another murder in 2002. There is currently a shortage of information regarding Lopez. His whereabouts are unknown as of 2020. Serial killers, perhaps. Pedophiles for certain. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.